question is, what is yoga lifestyle? You see a lot of teachers, even students, people that go to weekly classes, they will say that they are trying to follow a yoga lifestyle. What is a yogic lifestyle? This is a broad topic, but we could say is a lifestyle that is aiming at reducing two major tendencies of the mind. One is the tendency of agitation, and the other is the tendency of lethargy. So a yogic lifestyle, instead of going into details, such as wake up at this time and sleep at this time, just think of a lifestyle that reduces agitation and reduces lethargy. So you want to have, as often as possible, might not be possible to have that 100% of the time, but as often as possible, you want to have more clarity of mind. You want to have a sense that you have energy to do what you want to do, what you should do, without feeling agitated, without feeling overly stressed, without feeling overly angry, and also the opposite, without having the lethargy, the dullness, the down experience too often. So you want to be more balanced, more harmonic. To achieve that, there are several ideas which will be more connected to yoga philosophy. Classically, the starting point, also in Buddhism, not only on the yoga traditions, normally you start with the development of virtues, the develop of moral qualities. The idea is that by interacting with society, with people, with the world, in a way that is less, creates less friction, you have less tendency then to feel remorse on the mind. You have less necessity to overthink because there will be less trouble. That's the basic concept. The the more, let's say, organized is your social scenario, think of your relations, think of your work, think of your anything that involves other people and society at large, the more organized in your mind those circumstances are, the less trouble you have to be thinking of. If you consider the times that you have been sad, the times that you have been worried or very stressed, most of the time they're connected to social things. They're connected to your relationships. They're connected to your work. So think that if you have a way of living that sets those things a little bit more into order, let's say, or more pacified, then you have less and less and less moments that you have to overthink. You'll be more pacified. So that's the idea of the training of virtues, is to pacify your mind. So it's not necessarily to make the world a paradise. That might be a little bit of an impossible task, although you can aim for it like a bodhisattva. But the idea is on your own internal world, you'll be at ease because you have been, or at least you've been trying to be, what we call a good person. So that calms you and allows for meditation to be easier. If you're going to sit in meditation, normally people are plagued by excessive thinking, excessive feeling, excessive emotion. And again, that's normally connected to, especially to relations. That's what causes that proliferation of thinking. Then Krishnamacharya, which was the teacher of my teachers, he used to say that of all the moral guidelines, that people used to have, especially in the ancient world, which tended to be a little bit more strict, he said of all those, the only two that are really possible to take to a larger extent nowadays is mitahara, which is the control of food, and satya, which is normally translated as truthfulness. But we could say here that is to be clear of intention, to be very, not clear of intention, but to have clear intentions. So mitahara, the idea on Krishnamacharya view, I believe, I didn't talk to him about that, but from what I understand, is that your relationship with the food will define a lot of your relationship with the body. We define, of course, to a great extent, your health, and to the same extent that relationships, like external, such as love relationships, family, work, etc., creates trouble in the mind. The food will create trouble in the body, which then will develop as trouble in the mind. It will create bad feelings. It will create bad emotions, bad tendencies, bad patterns of thinking, and so on. So food is like the source, is the base, is the ground to build up a good system, a well operating system. And then the second, the satya, the truthfulness, here we can see more as a clear intentions. So to be straight on the mind about what is the intention of all the different circumstances. What's the intention with the work? What's the intention with the relationships? What's the intention for your life as a pathway? So to be clear of direction. And that solves a lot of also overthinking, a lot of problem. So sometimes people say you have to always be true and so on, but sometimes we want to be true, but we recognize we are wrong. And then people charge us as hypocrites, as false, and so on. But that's why translating just as truthfulness can be tricky, can be dangerous, because we might make mistakes. But if you understand it as to have clear intention, sometimes that allow you to make mistakes or to change with time. Because one thing is to have a clear intention when you're 15 years old, another is to have a clear intention when you're 40. Those are different times in life. So the necessities, the requests of those years are different. So the intentions naturally change. So just to be clear on the mind of what direction you're going, what's the aim of that specific activity, especially things concerning society, it will pacify the agitation of the mind. So I think that's why those two used to say this should be the focus. Have a good relationship with food without exaggerations, without um, radicalism. Be clear on your intentions so that you have to think less about what to do, about how to do. That was decided prior because now the direction is set.